All right. Yeah, thank you so much again for being here. And yeah, this is going to be a bit of a special webinar in a certain sense. It's first of all, I don't have any technical help, so I'm going to manage this by myself. So, don't expect the biggest, greatest quality of, how it's going to be your user experience of that webinar. And I'm going to really put all my energy and focus on the energy, on the atmosphere, on the content, more than actually anything else. And also, one of the reasons why is because actually this webinar is really a big leap of faith for me. I did already webinars in the past. I often really in webinars try to really prepare all the content really carefully and a lot mentally, like, oh, this is step one, this is step two, and these are all things that need to happen. But recently, even like this topic and the way it arrived to me and the way it's really like, for me, like God guiding me, God asking me to do this. And so I'm going to leap into this and not trying to control too much what's going to come through today. And I invite you to join me on this journey with this kind of energy. And I invite you also to, even though I'm going to explain different things and show different things, to more try to really feel and connect to the content more than trying to think and understand intellectually. I feel like this is where you can gain the most out of this presentation today. And also, actually, I'd be very happy to know where you're all connecting from. I know most of you personally, but not all of you, but not everybody knows each other. So maybe in the chat, if everybody could write down where they're connecting from, because actually today is also one of the goals is to connect, of course, truly into ourselves, of truly who we are, what is our essence, but also way beyond, connect to the whole world, connect to everybody else and really feel connected. So yeah, so please write in, hey Asian, haven't seen you in a while. You connect from New Zealand, right? And then you have Judith from Germany, Jack from Alabama, Mara from Dover, Quad from Austria, you're from Italy, but from Finland, originally speaking. David from France, but you're originally from America, right? Ewald connect from Singapore, Marian from Scotland, Rafael from Italy, Yaizin from New Zealand, Columbus, Chantal Marie, Gabriel from Germany, Marian from Princeton, Felicitas from Pennsylvania, Edina from Bulgaria, and Len from London. Wow, yeah, we have a big connection all around the world here. That's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking this time and investing this time into listening to this topic. Most likely you also had a certain leap of faith of coming here. I was like, what is this topic all about? I don't know, but it seems interesting. I'm curious. I want to know more. Not exactly knowing what to expect. And that's okay. That's perfect. That's exactly the right attitude to have here today. So I wanted to share a little bit like the story behind the concept of infinite ownership. I mean, maybe you heard it already. I think I posted a video where I shared a little bit, but in the past few months, I reflected deeply about, who am I and what do I want to contribute? And what a topic it came back often is around leadership. But then little by little, I realized it's not just about leadership, it's actually about ownership. It's about taking responsibility, whatever, if you are in a leadership position or not, or anything like this, that matters much less. And when I realized this, I was like, wow, actually my whole life has been a life of ownership without realizing. I didn't realize until then, but I realized very often I would be a person that would take responsibility maybe beyond my responsibility, just because I felt like I care about this. I care about the situation. When I was a 15-year-old teenager playing table tennis, the table tennis club would give me the key to the hall to open it, to organize the cleaning, to train whenever I want, to train with other partners. Can you imagine today giving keys to like a public sports hall to a 15-year-old kid? Who can imagine this happening today? It's like, seems like society shifted already in the past 20 years. And for those who are older than me, like you think even like back 50 or 60 years ago, like what things have changed. But yeah, and also I feel like my parents educated me a lot, you know, to take responsibility and show me this example. Many times my parents were very involved in the unifications community I grew up with. In many times when there was a big celebration, my mother would be the last one to clean up everything. I wouldn't always be happy about that at that time. I was sometimes being very negative about why are we the last family leaving? Why do we still here? Everybody's gone. Everybody had a nice time. Why are we still there? And then sometimes we would get so frustrated. Our father would drive us back home while leaving my mother behind, still cleaning. And because we couldn't take it, we couldn't stay, and maybe not mature enough to actually help and support my mother at that time. Or because we felt like this is not our responsibility. Why are we doing this, you know? So, you know, between the feeling of like I was learning to be responsible, but also learning, not always knowing how to do it, or maybe challenged by it. But at the same time, being in this, surrounded by examples around me, from my parents, of course, but also many other people in the unifications community. But also, I think I met great people, great teachers, great coaches in table tennis that really helped me along to connect with that. And one thing also had me realize why that's such an important topic for me is because I realized how many times I get angry, I get irritated when I hear people complaining. And I'm not saying like it's not good at all to complain, and you know sometimes we need to, you know, things. I'm just saying that I can sense emotion coming up with me. I was like, why I'm getting so triggered when people are complaining, when people feel like, oh, why is everything against me and everything like this. And I realized it's not because I'm not necessarily, it's not about the fact that I'm angry at that person for complaining or things like this, but I realized it's because something deep inside me cares so much about being an owner, being responsible, and caring about others also taking that it just is this emotion that's showing me, oh, there's a difference between my desire and what I'm seeing here. Also, this thing can happen also interactively between us and the other person. Just yesterday, I had a very interesting experience. I had a coaching call, and we talked about different things. And when we came to the end of the call, suddenly I felt like it was a bit superficial. And suddenly at the end, I could sense something my client was not sharing. And I was like, what are you thinking about? and then the person started to share something and started to cry. And then we took longer on the coaching call. But it ended up really wonderfully, you know, but we took, 20 minutes extra, and it was wonderful. But then I came late for lunch. And my voice was a bit irritated that I came for lunch. She's half Swiss, so being on time is very important. And she started to be very irritated about many other things, that, our children's behavior and things like this. And I was irritated about her irritation. And I was then preparing my coffee after lunch, and suddenly I spilled my coffee all over the place. And I was like, but then I realized usually when I do these kind of things, it's just showing me that something is going, I don't know if you know this story, that if you have a cup of coffee and somebody pushes you and you spill over coffee, the question is, why did you spill over coffee? Yeah, because somebody pushed me. No, it's because you had coffee inside the cup. If there would be nothing in the cup, nothing would have spilled over. Or if there would be water, you would have spilled water. So I had exactly this experience yesterday, spilling over coffee, because I had coffee inside, and it was just showing me like I had anger. And I realized I was playing a a blame game inside myself of who is right and who is wrong. Like, I'm right. I really helped that person until the end, and my wife should understand and shouldn't be angry. And then like, but maybe I should have stopped early and just be on time, and just playing the blame game instead of just acknowledging the situation and just taking responsibility. Yeah, I made the decision to go over. I made the decision to be late. I made the decision that this could be difficult for my wife, and I take responsibility for experiencing her emotions instead of blaming her for them. So this is just an example of something that recently happened on a very small. So it can happen on a small scale, just in the happening in the family between the spouse, but it's also something happening in the world. When yesterday we had the armistice. 11th of November is the end of the First World War celebration, and we went to a memorial yesterday, and my daughter was singing in a choir, and there was a very moving speech about the history of war, but also how even like the conflict that we're experiencing today, in Europe, are consequences of a lot of past things, and also showing that things are not resolved yet. And so, yeah, this ownership and taking responsibility and, overcoming conflict, it's on all these different levels. And that's why we can talk about infinite ownership, and how also all this connected, because even when there's a conflict going like beyond our sphere, what we are going through, the emotions we have inside, the feelings we have inside, all this is also like kind of connected. Yeah. So whenever you're able to go past our difficulties, this impacts everything around the world. And so, yeah, I really want, in my journey, I realized how this was important for me, infinite ownership. I remember I had this conversation with my with a friend of mine when I was in high school, and we were talking about happiness. And I remember telling him, like, yeah, I will only be happy when the whole world will be happy. I was like 17, 18-year-old kid, but I grew up in the unificationist community where we always were taught that, we're here to make world peace. And even though, there's a lot of conflict, it is possible. And that's what is the original ideal and things like this. And I kind of believed in that and felt inspired by that. And of course, my friend told me, yeah, then you will never be happy. But one thing I realized is that I told him, but I might be happy just trying. I might be happy just taking ownership for what I can to contribute to other people's happiness, to the world's happiness. And I didn't know that, but back in that time, I was already connecting to this concept of infinite ownership, to the fact that thinking big and thinking beyond ourselves, and then taking responsibility for whatever we can hear, from the smallest to the biggest, everything is connected. And even our own happiness is connected to how much we care or contribute to other people's happiness. And I remember at that time, actually, at one moment, I realized that I was not that happy because I felt like my life was not aligned with that. My life was not focusing so much actually on contributing to others. I was focused on being successful, being a professional table tennis player at that time. And I was taking strong responsibility there, but there was not much contribution to something way beyond myself, maybe except the team I was playing with together and we were winning together. Or maybe I was being a model for other people, of course. I was being an example with my attitude. So we always can have some impact here and there, but I felt like, there could be more. And so I went on a journey of really finding my purpose. I went on a program called STF, where I really found my own faith, not just the faith of my parents, taking ownership over my faith, actually making my own experience, putting things into practice, you know. And it's interesting how today still I have so many conversations with people who grew up in their faith, or who have been living in a certain group of faith, or group of people, a certain culture, but still didn't manage to make it their own, to really own it, to really feel it deeply inside, and not just hearing it and understand it intellectually, but really feeling it, embodying it, and living it. And so after this journey, I went on traveling around the world as well for 4 years, taking more responsibility in the STF program, taking ownership. But even at that time, when I was taking responsibility on the STF program, when I became a team leader and director, every time I took that, it was for the sake of serving, but also for the sake of growth. I knew that I got matched and blessed and married with my wife at that time. And even though I felt the calling to get blessed at that time, I didn't feel ready. I felt like I'm not ready to be a good husband and good father, but I felt ready to grow. And after that, you know, I started living with my spouse, with the Miller, and then we had kids, and I was studying, and I was working, I was playing table tennis again, I was trying to invest into my community as well. And I felt completely, I was trying to do infinite ownership. I was trying to take ownership for so many things in my life, but I felt overwhelmed. And I was like, oh, this is too much for me. So I stopped focusing on the higher purpose. I felt like this is too much right now. I need to take care of myself. I need to take care of my family, which in one aspect was good. But the other hand is, it also felt lacking purpose again. And this is when a moment again, I was struggling with all kind of addictions. Really all kind, you know, we know the general addictions, you know, smoking or drinking alcohol, things like this. But, you know, I was struggling with addiction to porn, masturbation. I was struggling with addiction to collecting and buying new table tennis blades just to try to. I was addicted to, and I realized only later, I was addicted to performance. I was addicted to so much addicted to performance that I would injure myself at sports just to perform and not take care of myself. And only now, and of course, I know that it was because I didn't feel truly fulfilled. Something deeply was missing inside, because I was just trying to take care of my family, but I was not just I was just feeling like I was surviving, you know, not really thriving. And of course, there was a moment where I really started to take care of myself. There was a shift where I started to really take ownership over my life, taking ownership of my addictions, overcoming them, you know, working on relationship with my wife, come closer to connected. And then I was really ready again to connect to a higher purpose. And when I connect to a higher purpose again, when I felt again, and it's not just connected, it's searching. Sometimes it can be searching. It doesn't mean like, if I haven't found my purpose, I cannot be fulfilled. No, just sometimes the journey of searching and constantly trying different things out can be very fulfilling. And it's when I started this journey again of that, actually, the more I was focusing on purpose, on higher purpose than me, connecting again to this world peace, the more I was growing again, the more I was feeling more fulfilled, the more I was motivated to improve my health. I was struggling a lot with my health, but when suddenly I was focused on the higher purpose, I was so motivated to eat better, to exercise better, to sleep better, to do all these things better. And when it's just this focus on my own, it was so difficult to have the discipline, to have that motivation. And so I want to just to share a little bit about, you know, this is not a theoretical concept that I come here. There's a whole journey behind it. So I just want to share that journey first with you. And maybe some of you know already some part of it. And I'm sorry if you heard it again, but I hope maybe you heard something different than the other times. So I just wanted to share now my screen a bit, to share a few slides. I'm just going to try to make sure I can also see well. All right. Can you see my, can you see my screen? So yeah, this is my family, just for those who don't know them. So my wife, Demilla, my eldest daughter, Flora, Deborah, and Cedric. And for me, this is also a picture representing infinite ownership, because it represents the fact that taking care of a family, building a harmonious family, is one of the biggest contributions we can make to the world. And sometimes I realized that I was sometimes running and chasing and doing a lot of activities to actually, you know, serve a higher purpose. But when I was sacrificing my family, it's like, whoa, there's a problem here. Even just last night with my wife, we were talking like, do we take enough time with our children to teach them about life? Are we a good enough example for them? Not just teaching like in theory, but also like teaching through our example. Because you realize, like, what's the purpose if we're not able to do this as well? And so I'd like to show this quote from Sung-Myung Moon, the founder of Unifications Community. We have two purposes in our life. One is the purpose of our own lives. The other is the purpose of our lives in relation to others, to our family, our nation, or the whole world. So this is really a quote that's really important for me, like this purpose, understanding the purpose. And I remember one book, the book that True Father Sung-Myung Moon wrote, A Divine Principle. My favorite quote in there is that in God's ideal, there is no purpose of the individual that does not contribute to the whole, and there's no purpose of the whole that does not guarantee the interests of the individual. How everything is really connected. So I want to share about the journey I did already. So when you talk about infinite ownership, we're gonna be a bit more like intellectual here about how this infinite ownership works. But still, I invite you to really just feel it, sense it in yourself, or look in your life of how this has been true for you. And so one of the first aspects of infinite ownership is that we are infinite spiritual beings. So infinite in terms of like we're eternal spiritual beings. Yeah. So even though we live in a finite physical body and we have a finite amount of time on earth, and even some people are challenging this now that maybe one day we'll have eternal physical lives. I don't know. I don't know about this, but some people are trying to challenge that, trying to aim for living 180 years or more, or something like this. But anyway, let's take it for it now. We'll see in the future if this changes. And what's interesting is that we have this, we're infinite spiritual beings. No, but we have a limited time on earth. And so whatever we do here, and actually this is connected. Yeah, I go. This is connected of how I came to this idea of infinite ownership. The day I get the inspiration was when I was listening to a Sunday service about infinity. And the one thing that resonated the most with me was when Tommy Pretty, who was sharing the Sunday service, was sharing this line, timeline, where of eternity, and we were this little spot compared to the time of history. We were this little spot in history, and you're saying how when we see that, when we realize that we are just a tiny moment in history, it brings a lot of perspective. First of all, that we are kind of almost infinitely small, but at the same time that even being infinitely small compared to that, or living in a, or being infinitely small amount of time compared to the time of, history, everything we do, even small, resonates in all of eternity. It is a result of all the past. It's not just us making a decision today of acting. Of course, we have that power. But the decision we make today is a lot to do with how we grow up, how our parents grew up, how all our ancestry line has been passing down ways of thinking, doing, feeling, and all these things. And then the same happens when we live our lives. We can either just automatically maybe do the same things almost automatically, or we can consciously try to see what has been beneficial and try to do more of this, expand on this, and maybe reduce what was not so constructive. And so we can pass on something else to the future, our own children, our descendants, humanity. So I'd like to really take just this moment to realize, to connect to this of your existence, your life right now. Where did you come from? You can go even back all the way to the beginning of humankind, of Adam and Eve, or you can even go to the beginning of the universe and connect to that starting point and see how you are a product, a result, an effect of all that. And at the same time, you are a cause of many other effects for the rest of time and all around the world. The second point I want to share now, feel free also anytime to share. Yeah, actually interesting. Please share in the comments if you felt anything, if you realized anything, if you have any insights that come up with you when I ask this question. Also ask questions. If you feel like something I like to interactive, I try to put up my screen in a way so I can see you as much as possible, and I don't feel like I'm just speaking to a camera. Yeah, so feel free to interact in the chat. Anything you want to share or you want to ask. So I was talking about earlier about purpose, and how I had, experienced different moments in life where there was a lot of focus. There were moments in my life where I felt like there was low growth, low contribution. I was really like in mode of survival. There were moments where I was focused a lot on myself, my own improvement, but not on contribution. And I was like neglecting others and lacking purpose here. There was also moments where I just was giving everything away and it was wearing too much and it was neglecting myself. And that's definitely something that doesn't work on the long term. And what I'm trying now to thrive as much as possible here is focus on both contribution and growth, because they both interact with each other. The more we try to contribute, the more we can grow, and the more we grow, the more we can contribute. And again, I really like to look at this, not just, okay, I'm talking about world peace here, but you can look at this from your individual level to just your family level already. And then from the family level to your community level, whether it's your local community, city or town, or your religious community, or any kind of a community you feel you're belonging to. And then beyond that, the wider society, or even your nation, your continent and the world, and see how, they're all really connected to each other, and how you're connected, and how everything is interacting with each other. And I remember one very interesting thing when 3 years ago, I really felt the calling to become a pastor in the South Paris community. There was a lot of fear, and I remember what helped us to make a good decision with my wife to actually go for it is that we decided we are going to contribute in a way that is harmonious for our own well-being and our family. So it can have lasting positive effect. We can have lasting positive contribution. Because you have seen so many people, so many pastors burning out, and you're like, We would like to do that. We really felt the calling to do that, but we really felt like we want to do it in a way so it's mutually beneficial and long lasting, you know. So, you know, it goes back to this quote where in this ideal, where there's this harmony between the purpose of the whole individual. So this, again, you can see it's from the infinitely small to infinitely big. And we talk about, you know, the world, but you can talk about the physical world and the spiritual world and everything there and the whole cosmos. Yeah, so Jerry says that, yeah, it's a great motivation involved in a way that also lifts up your family, also to set a good model for others. Yeah. I know so many people who are scared to contribute a higher purpose because they're afraid that it's going to damage themselves and their family. And it is possible, depending on how you do it. So in infinite ownership, there's this spiritual and physical. Then there's this different levels, you know, that we can impact. But there's also all our different life areas, our health and fitness, our body, our intellectual life, our intellect, our emotional life, our character, our will, our spiritual life, all our relationship, the relationship of our family with our parents, our siblings, our love relationship in the couple, parenting, our relationship with our children, our social life with the extended family, our tribe and friends, our finances, a career or mission, if you prefer calling it, or calling, your quality of life, your lifestyle. And so infinite ownership is also not just taking care of a few things in our lives, but being able to take care of all of these things. And again, what I shared is that when you taking care of all these things, when it's much easier when you have an overall goal, a bigger goal that motivate you to actually bring all these life areas to another level. You know, even when preparing this webinar, I went through so much emotions. I went through so much emotion just this morning. I was like, what is going on here? And I could sense it, that, yeah, taking ownership, taking responsibility, it is difficult, it is hard, you know. and you need to grow into your ability to go through difficult emotions to be able to do that. And there was even a moment, and there's also connecting back to ownership, there was even a moment I almost felt like I wanted to send you an email, I want to cancel, I want to give up. I was like, this is too much, this is overwhelming. I don't know even why it's overwhelming, but I just, whoa. I was being tested about the topic I'm going to share. Are you ready to take ownership and still do this webinar? And understand also how difficult it is, you know. And what is interesting is that, you know, true ownership is actually difficult, yeah. It's not easy. But not taking ownership is also difficult. It's painful. And you know, I don't know if you saw this already, but I remember quite often I saw this in my social media feed saying, staying healthy is, you know, being healthy is hard. You know, doing all the things you need to be healthy. Being unhealthy is hard. Being married is hard. Because not only hard, it's also beautiful. Being alone or being divorced is also hard. But the question, which hard do you choose? connecting on a daily basis to God or to your spiritual life, to your soul, is not easy. Yeah, it can be hard. But feeling disconnected is also hard. Finding ways to acquire, just enough wealth for our family to take care of ourselves is hard. Yeah, it's not easy. But struggling financially is also hard. So you can see this with all these things. And here I just listed like all our personal areas of life. But if we are, for example, responsible or part of a community and organization, you could make a list of all the categories in that organization as well that we can feel responsible for. We don't, it doesn't mean we need to take care of all these things, but it's good to be aware of all of this. So many times it's happened in an organization that one person is responsible for one thing and is only focused on that thing and doesn't, doesn't pay attention to how the way they are fulfilling their responsibility is impacting positively or negatively other people in their organization. Or sometimes people are, they want to take so much responsibility somewhere else that they're forgetting to take responsibility for their initial responsibility. I'm that kind of person. It happens sometimes. I need to be careful. But then other people, this is my responsibility. I don't do anything else. And if somebody needs help, that's their problem. The other extreme. I like to see it, but like football or soccer, if you prefer, because there's lots of Americans as well, where you have a position according to your talents and the team strategy. And it's very important that you fulfill that responsibility. But at the same time, it's very important to not forget that you're playing as a team and that sometimes your team player needs support in their position. Maybe the offense need to go back more defense. Maybe if you're behind, the defense needs to be more aggressive and score goals instead of blaming the other not doing a job well enough, So we can think the same way in all our areas of collective, in our family, in our community, in our nation. In times of election, there's always like this, again, this blame game. Oh, we have so much bad candidates, and I think it's a very good example of where we need to have more ownership as well. I like people who say we only have the candidates we deserve. So if we're not happy with the candidates have, then maybe we need to think what we can change as citizens in our nation so that we also bring the rights, what we think maybe are better candidates, or maybe become candidates ourselves. It's not easy to go on that journey. And then there's also the question of, we also already mentioned the time, yeah? And what I feel like, again, in terms of timing is very important. I like the concept of bending reality that I learned from Vishen Lakhiani. How important it is at the same time to take ownership over the future vision, having a future vision here, and also about how we feel now and how this helps us to be in flow instead of when you have this high, big vision, but you feel, you're not happy now, you feel a lot of stress. Or if you feel quite comfortable now, but you don't have an inspiring vision, then you're just trapped in the comfort zone, current reality trap, which is comfortable, but what is blocking you to even go to the next level of contribution and even happiness and fulfillment. Or of course, if you're lacking both, then that's where it's very difficult to be in a negative spiral. When you feel like you're struggling now and you don't even have any hope or future vision, to look forward to strive for. And yeah, again, I really wanted to share how, time is so important, I recently watched the whole 3 movies of Back to the Future with my wife, Who knows Back to the Future? Classic, yeah. If you didn't watch it, it's really good, especially to understand this. And I realized, they're using a time machine there, but time traveling is really possible. And we're going to experiment a little bit maybe today as well. But because you can actually imagine the future and even feel it and sense it like it is there. And from that place, start changing your present life. You don't need to travel to the future with a machine. You actually can imagine what is possible. And from that place, decide how you live now. You can even travel back in the past. Because the only difference is that you cannot change the facts. But what you can change is your perspective. What I love about coaching is when I help my clients to look back at traumatic experiences that became stories of shame and blame and guilt for the rest of their lives for many years, like I'm not good enough because of this and this happened, or I'm not confident enough, I'm not organized enough, because of one traumatic experience that also then was repeated, that resonated again and again in different experiences emotionally, and it carried on. And it's actually possible to go back in time, see it from a different angle, like if you looked at the other cameras, maybe you look at God's camera, like how he was looking at the situation, and see it in a totally different light. And then suddenly you can actually change your past and dramatically change your present and future. So the possibilities are infinite of transformation, even in time. And the last point I wanted to share is about stages of growth. Now, for those of the unifications community, you're familiar maybe with these growth stages of formation stage, growth stage, and completion stage, and then before that, the fallen state. And I really enjoyed finding a teacher called Michael Bernard Beckwith, who was a pastor in the Agape community in America. And he also talked about growth stages, and I felt like they were very similar, just explained in a different way, and I feel much more easier to understand practically speaking. And so how he describes is that the fallen state is a state of victim, where we feel like life is happening to me. And that's where we complain and blame, and or even blaming ourselves sometimes, or both, you know. It could be feeling despair, angry, resentment, all these kind of feelings. And then formation stages, manifestation, is when we realize we have the power, we have responsibility. That's the first step of ownership, actually. Yeah. What can I do? And it's interesting how very early kids learn this stage, you know. You know, why do they throw even sometimes food on the ground? We're like, oh, they're challenging us, they're being mean. And actually, why children sometimes they take things and they drop them is just to experience the law of gravity and the law of cause and effect. Oh, I did this. Interesting. When I do this, this is the result. Oh, interesting. Actually, my father is reacting. I did this. Oh, interesting. You know, I'm manifesting things in my life. Amazing. You know, of course, they're not conceptually thinking this way, but unconsciously they're realizing I can manifest things in my life. I'm responsible. Yeah. And very early we learn this, you know. And sometimes we unlearn this. You know, recently I had an experience because especially, you know, when learning how to walk, children are amazing. They learn how to walk. No matter how many times they fail, there's not a single child that says, okay, I give up. I'm going to crawl for the rest of my life. You know, walking is just not for me. I'm not born for this, you know. You know, how many times as adults do we try something and it doesn't work the first time, the second time, and the third time, and like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough at this. Yeah, it will never work. And we didn't even try 10 times or whatever. And it's so funny. Recently, I had an experience with my son he's playing basketball this year. And he asked me one day, oh, Dad, can you show me how to shoot like a pro? Okay, I'm going to show you. And he shot and he scored. He said, wow, that's amazing. And then he went further away and he shot and he scored. It's like, wow, shooting like a pro, you know? And then he went further away and it started to be very far. And it was very difficult for him to have the power to throw it and to be precise. and he was missing and missing and missing, and sometimes, and the ball would go all over. Sometimes he wouldn't even touch, the anything of the structure. But he wouldn't give up. He would like smiling, yeah. And every time he would, some part of the structure was like, wow, I'm so close, I'm so close, And then after 10 times, I told him, are you sure you want to show from here? Don't you want to go closer back and try to score a few more times? It's like, no, I'm going to score from here. And he did it. I didn't count exactly, but he did it between 50 or 100 times. And he would only hit the structure maybe 1 out of 5 times. But he kept going. And then he scored and he celebrated like crazy, like, wow, like I'm a world champion, I just scored 1 basketball, but I'm like, woo, And yeah, this sometimes we tend to forget as adults, just to have that childlike mindset. But of course, just us manifesting things to change the world, even just to change our lives, sometimes it's difficult. Yeah. So that's why there is other growth stages. And the next stage is channeling. Channel stage is the growth stage, is when we also realize that it's not just us manifesting things, but also things are working through us. We realize that everything that our ancestors prepared, and still now from maybe the spiritual, are supporting us. God is supporting us. The collective energy, consciousness is supporting us. All the good energies that other people are creating, prayers, whatever, are supporting us. And we get inspirations. We suddenly do the right thing at the right time. We don't even know why. When preparing this presentation, I didn't feel like I'm manifesting, whatever, maybe just the communication about it, but like the being inspired what to share, it just like, okay, what do I need to share? And it just came and came and came. And even when I didn't want to think about it, it was coming. It's like I was just drinking my coffee and then it was coming and coming. I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about it. and even we just moved to Easter France, and it's amazing how the house we found, we didn't find it. It found us, or we were guided to it, or even my parents-in-law were guided through us. The only thing we set the intention, the vision of where we want to go, what kind of house we want, and then we searched. Any of our searching did 0 results. Other manifesting things did nothing. But the right people being guided at the right time helped us to find the right house. And so for us to not feel like, oh, infinite ownership, wow, world peace, I need to take responsibility and I need to do all these things. Oh, in my organization, I want to take more responsibility here and there. It's like, no, you will be guided. And also trust that other people will also manifest as themselves. Trust that people are also people that God can work through them as well. And then we can bring our energies together, And then completion stage is the stage of being as me. There's not even like a feeling that something is working through me. It's like we're working together. It's like, I like this idea that, sometimes we talk about growth. But sometimes there can be this concept of growth where, I like to give this example, when I have sometimes people I'm coaching who always look at what's wrong with them. They always look at what is missing, and they feel so bad about themselves. Like, this is missing, and this is missing. Or they look at other people, this is missing, this is missing. This is how they're not taking ownership. This is not how I'm not taking ownership, And instead of looking what's already there and celebrating this, like my son. Oh, I touched the structure. It's amazing, It's like small like this, but he's celebrating it, And that's something we think, okay, growth. Oh, I sometimes thought growth is filling up the bottle, you're growing until you're full, but I realized that's even maybe a very limiting concept, because when we think of as being spiritual beings of expansion, it's more like the container and what's in there is growing together, expanding together. It's not like there's a fixed container that needs to be filled, but it's more like something infinite that can infinitely expand. And I feel like it's even like the same for God, who infinitely expands and grows through us, as us being an individual embodiment of God, as us being a part of God, being divine beings. So what I feel like really true ownership is really connecting to this essence, this divine essence, as much as we can. And it might be for only small moments at times, But let's celebrate it, like touching the structure of the basketball, Wow, I had this amazing spiritual experience of connecting with God, connecting with my divine essence. That's amazing. Not like, oh, I failed so many days connecting with God or connecting to my, to my soul, my heart. And at the same time, connecting also to this divine purpose, this divine vision we have. And being willing to embrace it. Being willing to say yes when we feel guided in a certain direction, even though it's at moment it feels like overwhelming. But trusting that we're not alone in that. We're working together on that. And also connecting to, infinite ownership is realizing that there is infinite amount of love, wisdom, and energy available all the time. We might not be connected to it or realize we're connected to it, but it's there when we time to connect to it. And of course, yeah, so maybe it brings me to the next step that really I feel like is important. We talked about purpose, is that I really feel like every person has a unique purpose in this world. We all have like a common purpose of fulfilling a higher purpose and our own purpose. That's the same purpose for everyone. But the way we do it and what exactly we contribute is unique, is different. We all reflect a very specific aspect of God. I like to see the whole world and humanity as a puzzle, and every person is a piece of that puzzle. And every piece of the puzzle is important. Imagine you have, this is not a puzzle, but imagine this is a puzzle and you have a hole here. You wouldn't be like, yeah, that's fine. Let's leave a hole here. Just one piece. Like, no, it's not complete, somebody is missing. Somebody as a person and some contribution is missing. And it, even like makes me think of Jesus and searching for one, like, and how do you call it? The shepherd, searching for the one lamb, even though he has 99 other ones. So sometimes we feel like, oh, we're not so important, we're so small compared to the world, but it's not true. We have all as much importance as the whole universe. So this is not to feel pressure, but this is to feel value. And because why we don't have to feel pressure is because we are just one piece of the puzzle. We don't have to take out everything. Of course, we can help others to be their piece as well. I like a quote, and I think it's an interesting quote you ask, is like, be the change you wish to see in the world. And I like to ask myself, if there's something in the world that bothers me, what is it? What is it I would like to change? And when I say be the change the world, it means at the same time be in terms of I do it, I contribute it, and at the same time be I am being this. I am embodying this. I'm taking collectively and individually ownership of this that I want to change. And so just to find purpose, it's important. I followed my life a lot, my passion. I was playing table tennis. I was studying philosophy because it's my passion. But for a few years, I realized it's not about passion. It's more about purpose, where when you follow your purpose, is that where you feel passion, because passion sometimes is mixed up with activities, But what's important is not the activities. Activities are just different expression of fulfilling a certain purpose. Yeah. And why finding some purpose is important is because there are many different human motivations, but the motivation coming from purpose is the highest. They were asking high-level athletes who were making world records. And they're asking, what was your motivation? And I tell them, I wanted to show humanity what humanity is capable of. They didn't want to be champions. I mean, they want to be champions as well, but their real motivation is showing humanity what they're capable of. I don't know if you remember this, for so many years, people believed you cannot run a mile under 4 minutes. Even scientifics were saying you would die if you try to. Until one guy did it, showing that we are capable of it. And then many other people did it. So you can ask yourself, what is the one thing that you feel like other people don't believe and you believed it's possible and you want to show it's possible? And sometimes we feel lack of motivation, but lack of motivation is not always a bad sign. Sometimes a good sign. Maybe you're not really actually pursuing your purpose. You are just pursuing goals that you feel like you expected to fulfill. But it's not really this purpose you were born for. And sometimes your why, your purpose, can be one of your greatest challenge or pain. When I look at what I like to share the most about in my life is often from lessons and transformation I learned from my biggest challenges. The challenge of not feeling connected to God and trying to find my faith. The challenge of feeling lack of purpose and trying to find my purpose. The challenge of feeling overwhelmed by managing all my life areas and trying to find balance and harmony. All the things that I really like to share, that I like to give and help other people with, because I've been through them. So I really just want to invite you now to take some time to reflect about these points. So you don't have to answer all these questions systematically, but this is just to kind of trigger your thinking. What's the change you like to see most in the world? What cause or causes do you care about the most? Some people sometimes they fight about causes. This is the most important cause. Why dare you focus on another cause? But we are all just pieces of a puzzle, My piece is this one. Also, you can reflect, what were the most inspiring moments in your life? Or the most challenging? Or maybe they were the same. They were first challenging and then inspiring. The biggest moments of transformation, same. Maybe there might be the same moments. Then you can reflect about what you're passionate about, what are your gifts, your talents as well. So I'm just going to put some music on and let you some time to reflect about this. And you can do it the way you want, just writing things down or just visualizing, immersing yourself in it, letting things come to your heart. And what's really important in this space is no censorship. Not like, oh, this is too big, this is not good enough, or what other people think about this. Just trusting what comes to you. All right. I hope you had a good reflection time. And don't worry if not everything came clearly out. Whatever came out is whatever was supposed to come out today, And sometimes we are looking for the piano of purpose to fall on our head, but that never really happens. What happens is that we have subtle realizations, insights, and the more we have them, the more we connect with them, the stronger it becomes until our purpose can be more and more clearly defined. And I'd like now to take one step further. What I was saying is that your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. It's very important to really connect here and believe that the message is there. We always talk about, when we talk about God, often we can think about a God that's somewhere out there, and we forget that he can be completely in there, guiding us. And so I'm going to give you again some little reflection time. One step further is try and answer this question. What is, now after you've done this reflection, like what is the highest vision of your life? What is trying to emerge through you? What is God or universe trying to express through you? And then ask yourself, what do I need to become to manifest this? Where do I need to grow? What do I need to let go that doesn't serve this highest vision of my life? What are the old habits, thoughts, and beliefs that I must let go? And then ask yourself, am I willing? Am I willing to pursue this? And then whenever you feel ready, saying yes, saying yes, not because you have to, but because you really feel that calling. So again, you don't have to answer all these questions exactly, but just, and give you again some reflection time. Sorry, later, before I didn't put the music, I didn't connect the music immediately. But I'd like to ask you to reflect a bit about this, and then we'll have a meditation, guided meditation around this topic. All right. I hope you had a great reflection time. And yeah, Jerry commented, am I willing? Great question. Yeah. Often the question, and even myself, when we start to have a goal or a purpose, is how I'm going to do that. And actually, something more powerful is that just, am I willing? And when I say, am I willing, I'm talking about willingness. Am I open, receptive, ready, and not necessarily willpower, like am I ready to power through it, but ready to follow that path, and to be guided. So it's a bit more like a willingness, like a surrender. Surrender is maybe a good word for that. Surrender into it. So yeah, to actually get more into the feeling, because I said it's more about feeling, and I made you thinking. So I'm going to do a meditation now. So I really invite you to get comfortable in your chair. Try to have your back straight, but not rigid, like relaxed. Find the right position that really feels comfortable for you. And I'm going to guide you through meditation. Yeah, connected to this different steps of connecting to your highest vision, but also connecting to who you need to become, where you need to grow. And again, I invite you to really just let things come without any censorship. Let yourself be guided there. All right. Can you hear well the music and my voice? Is one too loud or whatever? No, it's good. Balance. It's nothing, so it's good. Okay, great.
The voice is a little far away now, Rafael. Sorry.
What is far away?
Your voice was a little far away.
Okay, is it better now? Is it okay now? Yeah. Okay, great. So I invite you to close your eyes now. Take a deep breath. And you breathe out, just relax, and even you can even make a sound like ah. And again, take a deep breath in and hold it a bit, and then release. You can do this at the rhythm that I'm saying, or your own rhythm, doesn't matter. Just take the time to breathe deeply and relax. So take a deep breath in, hold it, and relax. So I invite you now to connect, to feel that you are in a space filled with love, filled with unconditional love. And to help you connect with that, I invite you to even imagine a moment in your life where you have felt that love, when you felt that unconditional love. It might be in a specific moment, with a specific person, in the prayer, in the meditation. Just really go back to this moment where you felt that unconditional love, where it didn't matter how good you were, how great you were performing, anything like this. And I invite you to breathe in and really breathe out. Feel like this love becoming even stronger and deeper and expanding. Take a deep breath again and feel it again when you breathe out, expanding and growing and becoming stronger. And I want you now to imagine that this unconditional love is like a light that's filling all your body, that's even coming through the top of your head, from heaven and going all the way down through your feet and on earth. And feeling like it's really going through you. And now I want you to imagine that this light, representing this unconditional love, by breathing in and breathing out again, you spread that around you. Breathe in and breathe out it, and feel it expanding around your household, your family. And then again, breathe in. And by breathing out, feeling expanding it in your neighborhood, in your community. And then breathing in and breathing out again. Feel it expanding to your nation. And by breathing in and out again, feel it expanding to the world. See yourself on the planet and this light going through you and expanding all over the world. Feeling connected to all humans on earth and all living beings even. Again, one more breath. Breathing in and breathing out and feeling connected beyond the earth, beyond the physical world, to all the spiritual world beyond, and spreading that light around. I'd like to invite you to connect to a moment in your life where you felt an amazing amount of gratitude. Connect to a moment where you felt like almost like overwhelmed with gratitude. Could be a specific moment, could be a love for a certain person. Once you have it, just connect with it and stay connected with it and feel it. Now in this place, I would like to ask yourself this question. What is the highest vision of your life? What is your divine purpose? Again, it's different questions, but just trying to trigger the same answer. What do you feel is trying to emerge through you, being expressed through you, through your life? Letting things come. And connected to this highest vision of yourself. Now ask yourself, who do you need to become to manifest that vision? To channel that vision, to embody that vision. Without any judgment or feeling of lack, just awareness of where do you need to grow. Just awareness. The same awareness of unconditional love surrounding you, and the awareness of this vision that wants to come through you. And maybe you feel like some blockages coming up, and that's really the moment to ask yourself, what is it that I need to let go of? What thoughts, thought patterns, emotional patterns, habits. To make space for this vision to come through you. Again, take the time to breathe in and breathe out as you feel like. It could be very profoundly, it could be lightly. And now, connected to this love, to this vision, to where you want to grow and let go, ask yourself that question. Am I willing? Am I willing to embrace that vision? Am I willing to let it express through you, through me, emerge through me? And whenever you feel ready, saying yes. Saying yes, yes, I'm willing. Even if I don't know how, even if I don't know when, yes, I'm willing to let this vision come through me. And I want you, again, to connect to this light shining through you, this unconditional love, and feeling that God, the universe, is really supporting you, is really there to support you to move forward in this. And trusting that connecting to that vision today, setting this intention, and being willing is gonna start moving things in a way you've never seen before, or that you can't even expect to happen. I invite you to just stay with that feeling for a moment. Whenever you feel ready, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and open your eyes again and come back to this moment. All right. I hope you had a great meditation. So I'm curious, is there anybody who would like to share their experience? So the sharing could be the ideas that came to you, the vision that came to you, the insights you had, or just the feeling you had. Sometimes we can't really describe it. Sometimes I have these feelings of clearly knowing, but it's more a feeling than a knowing intellectually speaking. So you can also share this, or you can also share how maybe it was difficult and you felt blocked in certain ways. And yeah, anybody who would like to share? You can either share by raising your hands and I can give you the mic, or you can also just share in the chat if you prefer sharing your experience in the chat. Yeah, Marianne?
Yeah, a bit feeling, more feeling than anything, but like, I think it was one point, I think you were talking about like, yeah, the person you have to become. And I kind of felt like Heavenly Parent, like just saying my name, but kind of in like a tone that's like you know who your true self is. Yeah, that's what I experienced. Thank you for the meditation.
Thank you so much for sharing, Marianne. Thank you. Amazing that you could experience that. Wow. Anybody else would like to share their experience? I mean, you could also share maybe another insight from your reflection or anything else that I shared before as well. Yeah, Jerio.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I guess, yeah, when you were sharing about how, the whole, that love going out into the whole universe and spirit world, and I was just imagining, this idea of all of creation longing for the Lords of creation to return, and just the joy of creation, but also the joy of friends and family, my neighbors, when I start living as who I should be, as when I fully actualize being the person that God sees me as, and sharing that joy with others. And just this overwhelming joy came over me, just seeing, imagine like the trees and the flowers and the faces of other people just glowing, seeing that emergence of God's presence in this world, and just knowing that I am enough, and these dreams that I had that are often very large, just knowing that they can be, and it's something that God also desires and is behind, and just really appreciative of you and what you're sharing today. Thank you.
Wow, yeah, thank you so much, Jerry, for sharing this connection you felt. Wow. Yeah, I really enjoy this part of connecting, either this feeling that Marianne described of feeling loved, and at the same time like feeling this connection with everything else. And yeah, I feel like it's very important to really feel this. Otherwise, sometimes when we take ownership, it feels very heavy, and like it's all about the doing, and when we are in this energy, it seems much more natural actually of wanting to move it for this, and we don't feel alone. All right. Anybody else like to share, or maybe somebody has a question? And after, just maybe some questions around this. And after this, I will just share a little bit of information about upcoming webinars that I'm going to do. And then we're going to close the webinar from today. Is there anything else somebody want to share or to ask about the webinar today? And again, also feel free
I just wanted to say my reflection was
yes.
to let go of what was it? Yes. My feeling was to let go of my vision of disasters, fear about the future. I mean, what we are seeing evolving, lack of electricity, what have you. To stop seeing all this negativity and fear and disaster speaking about in the newspaper, in the media, and instead look at the positive vision of true parents, especially true mother, about hope, about blessing, about future, about sharing, multiplying the blessing around us, and basically manifesting God's love through our way of being and our way of acting.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. What is your name? Because it's
Anne Cotter.
Anne. Okay, Anne. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Anne.
Anyway, that's just that aspect of and I have to work on myself very much on that level to think positive, to project positivity.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's so important to focus more on what's possible positively instead of being trapped. Of course, the media doesn't help us. It always is talking about everything that's going wrong. So I sometimes try to practice a low media diet in order to avoid being too much in this energy. And so, yeah, and you know, Anne was saying that she needs to work on it. And what is important is really, as you say, just you set the intention today to be willing to let go of these things, and that's already puts an energy into the future that will help you on that path of letting things go. So I think, wait just a second. Quote is raising hand, but I think Mara, you were raising your hand before. I mean, physically speaking, not virtually.
Yes, yes. I just want to share. Thank you so much again for this wonderful webinar and meditation. When you were guiding us, I just saw like a, amazing light coming from above, and then just embracing you completely. So as you were guiding us, I felt just like what Jerry was sharing, amazing, feeling of love and embracing the whole world, and imagining that that's the world that God really wants to have, between a parent and a child, to have that kind of incredible oneness, of heart. And I feel like that's what, we can definitely do that as, children of God. So I thank you so much, for this amazing webinar.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mara. Wow. Yeah, and a quote. Oh, a quote. You're muted at the moment.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Yeah, Rafael, thank you, especially for this meditation, which was a very deep experience for me, especially because my wife is already in spirit world, and when we were talking about feeling loved, I really felt that she is there, and she how to say, loves me even if I am not worthy to be loved. So this was a very beautiful experience, and related to anyway, when the partner is already in spirit world, it's a bit easier to have dreams because the reality does not destroy them. Let's say it this way. Let's say it this way. But there was another point, because I was thinking, okay, what is my highest vision? And I have a very clear high vision for the next time. But I thought maybe my life is not just my next step, but what is my highest vision in spirit world. And it came to me, I want to manifest God's love in the way Heavenly Parents need it. Yeah. And I trust that he doesn't ask, or Heavenly Parent doesn't ask things from me which are beyond my capacity and all stuff, but it fits to me. And for my life on earth, I think my highest vision is to connect things or humans on horizontal level, and to connect them also with the core. Practically speaking, I really suffer a lot that, let's say, energy work, psychotherapy, and religion are still so much disconnected. And most of them, except our movement, are additionally disconnected from two parents. So for me, this is really a vision to bring these elements together, because in order to build Jeonilguk, we need all of them. And of course, also the field of a new type of education. So this is where I see my part and contribution, and how this happens practically, will just evolve, or how you say, something like this. So.
Will emerge. Yes.
Emerge, that's what I meant. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt, for sharing your beautiful experience and your vision. That's really, really, really inspiring. Yeah. Wow. All right, then I'm going to share briefly about upcoming content. Sorry, I need to find the right slide. Yes, I found it. Share my screen. Can you see my screen? Well, yes, all right. So, oh, actually, I realized I didn't put the dates. So anyway, this is when you're just following the inspiration and you forget about the practical things. So this is a workshop happening next weekend. So that means Friday, November 18th, Saturday, November 19th, and Sunday, November 20th. And so actually the best is maybe just to share this and edit. And so in terms of content, we will just go one step deeper around what we saw today and go more into details, because we have 3 sessions. So what we mainly focus on is actually, connecting to this purpose. So going deeper on purpose again, what's your purpose? Then then on your spiritual life, on your connection, on purpose, and on your connection with God and with your soul, like in terms of bigger purpose and small purpose, how you live it, how you feel, and things like this. And then there will be the second part, we're more focused on growing and letting go, what we need to grow and what to let go, and then looking a bit more of different ways, different processes we can use to do that. And then the last part will be more than maybe a bit more practical steps, even though what's really most important is really connecting to that, because then the practical steps almost come very naturally from that, instead of trying to figure out too quickly. Often I realize myself, when we ask ourselves the question of how too early in the process, is just showing that we don't believe yet. But how? It's not a how of how we're going to do it yet. It's like, oh, but how? Ask yourself how once you figure about the purpose, willing go that path, and then the how will be guided, and you also be creative in finding it out. So a different way of energy of how and how, very different. What's the next step? Not what is the next 100-step plan to get there. This is again trying to, yeah. So then I will organize another workshop. Again, I didn't put the dates. So this will be December 16th, Friday, December 16th. No, 15th, I think. I need to check that again. Can somebody tell me? Is it 15th, 16th, and 17th, or is it 16th, 17th, 18th?
16, 17, 18.
Okay, so my first intuition was good. I should have trusted it. So, and this will be a workshop focused on kind of connected to this vision and this purpose, and like how to grow, like reflecting about the year 2022 in that light, and planning 2023 in that light as well. Like really, and really in the reflecting about 2022, being in that child mindset of celebrating anything that was great instead of looking at everything is missing. Coming from a place of where we feel unconditionally loved, and then from that vision as higher purpose, looking at 2023, what is really important to emerge there, and what do we really want to focus on? Not like necessarily planning like a perfect plan of how things are going to happen, but at least where do we want to go? What's really the most important priorities that I feel like I'm called to go to? Yeah. And then, yeah, Mara, you had a question, or? Oh, okay. Yeah, and then about next year, I'm planning, this is much more vague at the moment, but anyway, the division is clear. The exact plan is not, but I'm just letting myself be guided for that. So the idea is next year is to have a container a monthly container that the overall topic will be infinite ownership. And so there would be programs on a monthly basis on different topics. We would go more deeper on detailed topics. So maybe there would be one topic where we focus more on owning our faith, or embodying our faith, and then one topic will be more focused on owning our relationships, how to take responsibility for all our relationships or our family, things like this. One topic will be more focused on owning a career, a mission, things like this. But yeah, we will go through different things. One maybe will be more focusing on how to let go. What are different ways to let go of things. And so yes, that there's a program, happening every month. Then there will be like group coaching calls. So group coaching calls is different from the program. It's not like teaching an exercise. It's more like question and answer. People from the different programs and what they're doing in life, they come with question and trying to answering them, like more specifically, more personally. There will be also a private Facebook and WhatsApp group to keep interacting between the programs and the coaching calls. For the moment, the price plan is to be 100 euros per month to participate in all of that. It's not sure. And and then there would be other options to add if you feel like this is not enough. I'm planning to create a small mastermind of a few people who you actually even want to meet weekly to really go deep every week on this, to keep ourselves uplifted in that energy. And also there's a possibility to add individual coaching extra to that. But, at the moment, I know it's not completely clear yet, but that's what's there, just to have it on your mind. I think at the moment, what's more important is to ask yourself whether you actually would like to participate in the next workshops, depending on the experience you had already here and like wanting to take further steps there. And of course, you can just take further steps continuing already with just the content you connected to today. But if you feel like it's very enjoyable to do it as a group and really go through this together with guidance, then the next workshop might be very interesting for you. I'm just gonna put here my different information. Maybe I can send them via email. It's easier. But if you already run down most likely you already have my. I don't know if when you get the Zoom confirmation, I don't know if you receive my email address. But anyway, just put it there. Maybe you can screenshot it. Or something like this, just in case you don't have it, you want to connect to different ways. And again, I just wanted to thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. And I'd like to, just a second. Oh yeah, maybe we can just take a picture. For those who didn't put their camera on, if you're okay with it, to put your camera on. All right. Just a second. 1, 2, 3. All right, not everybody was ready, so let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. All right. Yeah, so are there any? So yeah, actually what I would like to do now is just to close here. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for your time. I hope you appreciate it all. Feel free to to also contact me personally after this if you have any other questions about the topic. But I will stay here for those who want. If you have any other questions about the upcoming workshops or even about today's content, again, I'm going to stay here. And for those who want to go further and deeper, please go. For those who it's time to leave, we went already over time. Already, thank you for your patience and being open to this a bit almost like messy process. But I felt that I wanted to do to really invite inspiration to come as well in the right way. yeah, so bye for those who want to go already, and for those who want to stay and ask questions or discuss, you're invited to stay. Yeah, you can also unmute yourself. I think it's not blocked. If you want to say goodbye out loud, feel free to do so.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Rafael.
Okay, thanks, Rafa.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye all. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was great. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rafael. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Sotomai. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you also for all your great comments in the chat.
Grazie.
Bye.
Rafael. Ciao, Rafa.
Ciao.